Several Democratic presidential candidates are releasing their plans to combat climate change ahead of tonight's marathon of climate town halls. The New York Times reports California Senator Kamala Harris is calling for $10 trillion in spending over 10 years to combat human-driven global warming. It also includes a blueprint to end fossil fuel pollution from energy generation by 2030. Harris is also proposing a new tax on companies that emit greenhouse gas pollution. Meanwhile, over Massachusetts, Senator Elizabeth Warren is adopting Washington Governor Jay Inslee's plan after he dropped out of the race. Warren wants the country to achieve 100% clean energy within 10 years, so she's proposing $1 trillion, and that'll go to subsidize the transition, on top of $3 trillion in green research and also manufacturing plans. 10 candidates will be interviewed over 7 hours tonight on CNN. Former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro will be the first to speak, 5 p.m. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker will be the last at 11 p.m. CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns is here to break down all these plans. I want to actually start with Governor Inslee. How has he sort of affected the race and the outlook on climate change?
Well, it's interesting. Elizabeth Warren, who has been steadily on the rise in this primary campaign, came out last night and said that she was adopting Jay Inslee's plan. So I think that shows us how influential that he has been on this race, even though he dropped out a couple of weeks ago. The fact that the rising star in the primary is adopting his plan, I think kind of speaks volumes about where the party is on this. What's interesting is that you have a cable network dedicating 7 hours of coverage, some of it in prime time, to this issue. Speaks to how important it is among Democratic voters that these candidates address these plans. There are various plans out there. You kind of highlighted a lot of them. Some of them range in terms of the timeline that they want to achieve net zero carbon emissions. Others are more expensive. So those are kind of the differences. But by and large, I think the Democrats are saying that this is an issue that we want to put at the forefront.
Because this is it's a town hall. It's not a debate. You're going to have each one go up and have their own sort of moment in the sun. Right. How do you differentiate yourself when you're up there?
It is, right, when you're not all together. And the reason that these candidates can't all be together on the same stage is that the Democratic National Committee rules are that you can't have anything that looks like a debate unless it's a party-sanctioned debate. So that's why we're seeing these back-to-back. So multiple hours. We'll see kind of the dedicated people who really care about this issue watching this all the way through. I think what you'll see is them wanting a good soundbite that they can send to supporters and those that they want to attract and say, look, I'm here with you on this issue. I don't think you'll see a lot of differentiation between among all the plans. The biggest differences are the price tag for some of them. Bernie Sanders comes in at the highest price tag at about $16 trillion. Also kind of the scale or the rate at which they want to make some of these proposals happen. So Joe Biden, for example, wants to have net zero emissions by 2050. Elizabeth Warren wants net zero carbon emissions by 2030. So that's really the range. Not huge differences, but again, the party at large saying this is an important issue.
You mentioned earlier at the top of our chat that, to have a cable channel spend 7 hours of their programming on this issue is pretty significant. But is it really an issue that really resonates with Democratic voters?
It's really interesting because after the 2018 midterms, the issue of climate change did not even register among people's top concerns. We saw healthcare and the economy and a few other issues in CBS News exit polling after the midterms. Now, when you talk to Democratic voters and in our battleground tracker poll, shows that 78% of Democratic voters say that this is a top issue. So it's second to health care, which is really fascinating. A couple of different things. First, young people. This is an issue that they really care about because a lot of these effects of climate change are going to affect them in their own future. So this is an issue that really galvanizes and engages young people. Yesterday, we talked to the Biden campaign about their strategy, and they said they have more work to do attracting young people. Part of that is going to be talking about guns. The other part of that is going to be talking about climate change. So all of these campaigns know they have to be talking about it. And then it just is an issue that Democratic voters care about. They ask about it at town halls. They talk to different candidates about it. And Jay Inslee making this his singular message running for president, even though he wasn't successful, I think kind of speaks to where the party is.
Caitlin Huey-Burns, thanks for joining us on set.
Thank you.